Stores are more than just places that we shop. It sounds silly, but we form an emotional connection with them through advertising, their branding, how the stores position themselves not only in the market, but in our lives, the products they offer, and obviously the memories we make shopping at them. But physical retail is not what it used to be. Over the last couple of decades, lots of beloved stores have gone bankrupt. Stores that were once fixtures in our lives, gone, replaced by convenience, e-commerce. But just because they can't sustain business or afford to have several physical locations doesn't mean there isn't an interest there. These brands still have monetary value, but also emotional value, which in some ways is more lucrative, and so the brand gets resurrected, brought back from the dead. That is what we're going to be talking about today on the Videocast, zombie retail. We'll be looking at some of the reasons why a store might get brought back to life, as well as examples of stores or brands that have been zombified. As always, I'm your host Brian, and this video is made possible thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/picsandportraits. Should have a new video up there soon, further exploring malls and movies and revisiting the malls of my life. $5 gets you access to that and years worth of other exclusive videos, as well as digital copies of my book, The Nostalgia Economy. Physical copies are available as well, so if you like what we do and want to help make it happen, please consider supporting us. Now, we have an entire video on the emotional cost of dead retail, and this is going to build upon what we covered there. We talked about why we form bonds with soulless corporations, and that seems like a good place to start here. Stores die because they can no longer afford to operate, due to the costs of running a business, because customers have stopped going to them, or most often, a combination of both. But within these two reasons are dozens of other factors. Are they living up to our expectations, either from past visits or what we've assumed the store is? Are we getting good service? Has the staff been stretched too thin? Do they even have what we're looking for? Can the product be found elsewhere at a better value? These are all things customers consider when choosing where they're going to shop. Stores can dress up their image as much as they'd like, but we are only useful to them if we are spending our money there. That's it. That's all they care about. The second it no longer becomes profitable to exist, they fold. It doesn't matter how many people they employ, or if that's where you shopped with your mom or your kids. If it isn't making more and more profits year after year, it has no value and no longer needs to exist. Assets are liquidated, copyrights are sold off, on to the next way to make money. But the customers, or former customers, do feel that void. Regardless if we still shop there or visited recently, we had a connection to these places. They were a part of our past, the world we lived in, and now they're gone. We feel that. Again, the companies who own the IP may not see profit in operating several stores, but there is clearly value in the name, money on the table, and that's when or why brands get resurrected. And brands do return from the dead. I have 3 different examples here we're going to be looking at. Starting with the most notable and painful loss, at least for Americans, Toys R Us. A brief eulogy. Childhood is probably the most nostalgic or fondly remembered time for people, and Toys R Us held a very special place in the hearts of multiple generations of kids. There was wonder and excitement to wandering through the aisles, at least if the commercials were to be believed. This was highlighted in news reports during its closing back in 2018. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They ran this ad in pretty much every report on the store's closing. Enough generations had shopped there that Toys R Us kids from the 70s got to take their kids there in the 90s, making memories across decades. But those kids and future kids wouldn't get to do the same. Enter the brand management group WHP Global, who acquired the parent company of Toys R Us, True Kids, in 2021, with plans to reintroduce the brand. This resurrection saw new stores opening first in larger malls, like American Dream and the Mall of America. Macy's also rebranded their toy section in their stores as Toys R Us. You can buy new merch featuring Jeffrey the Giraffe. Other stores opened. There are plans to continue opening new locations. Toys R Us has effectively been brought back from the dead. Another dead but beloved brand for people of a certain age is Blockbuster. We have a video on the collapse of the video rental market, which Blockbuster is more or less synonymous with. But to quickly summarize, its demise in the 2010s is generally attributed to the rise of streaming services like Netflix and a changing media landscape it refused to adapt to. By this time, physical media use declined. Blockbuster tried to have their own video by mail service and an on-demand service, but it was too little too late. Netflix was too convenient, too good of a deal, and so Blockbuster was left behind in the memories of many. Video rental in general gets remembered with rose-colored glasses. I was not the biggest fan of Blockbuster, but I have a ton of great memories renting movies. I miss the times, but not really the process of it. Selection was limited. If the movie you wanted to watch was taken out, tough luck. It was also very expensive, especially when compared to streaming, but people have fond memories of being young and browsing the shelves, and for a lot of people, Blockbuster was the only game in town. The rights to the name have been passed around. Dish Network attempted to use the Blockbuster name for its video-on-demand service, but nothing really came of this. I think this would be the best use for the IP, but I also feel like too much time has passed, that people have just moved on or don't really have the fondness for it that they used to, or they don't remember it. But targeting a specific demographic, new Blockbuster merch has been produced. Trivia games, movie trivia, clothing. There is an attraction in Bend, Oregon, dubbed The Last Blockbuster, that functions as a real video store. It's also a tourist destination. Trips are planned around going there. People loved Blockbuster, and this is a way to keep it alive. Zellers, a beloved store from my childhood, is kept alive like Toys R Us in another store, the Bay, but it is probably not long for this world. It is likely going out of business very soon. For those who don't know, I am Canadian. Zellers was a Canadian company, at least it started as one. Same with the Bay, which both fell under the HBC, Hudson's Bay Company banner. We also have, or had, plenty of American retailers here in Canada, like Walmart, Kmart. Zellers actually took over a lot of Kmart Canada stores after their parent company, HBC, acquired Kmart's Canadian division back in 1998. While Zellers and HBC were historically Canadian companies, HBC was purchased by American billionaire Jerry Zucker in 2006. Following his death 2 years later, HBC, the Bay and Zellers, fell under the ownership of American investment firm NRDC Equity Partners. Traditionally, Zellers catered to a middle-class demographic, back when that was still a thing. The Bay was a little more upscale, and NRDC saw more value in investing in it, the Bay, and neglected Zellers, and so the brand was devalued. In 2011, American retailer Target purchased the lease agreements of many Zellers stores, announcing they planned on renovating and reopening them as Targets. A few would continue as Zellers, but it was really just a way to liquidate unsold stock from the Bay. Target Canada, which replaced Zellers, failed horribly. They came in with a lot of hype and just sort of floundered. There wasn't enough stock. The prices were too high. I visited the location near me many times, and by the end it looked like a war zone. Clothes and shoes thrown all over in piles. They poached a lot of local retail talent with promises of better wages and benefits, and went under in just 2 years. As for Zellers, the brand was brought back first in 2021 as a pop-up inside a Bay in Burlington, Ontario. In 2023, portions of several Bay stores were converted into Zellers. Like before, this was a superficial rebrand and nothing new or unique was really offered. I've gone to Zellers at the Bay and was just left feeling more sad. It's the same modern products being sold with some signage thrown up. It's cheap, lazy, and no way did it capture what it was like shopping at Zellers, because of course it didn't. That was the past. It's a nostalgia pop, a quick cash-in. Nostalgia is weird. We convince ourselves things were a certain way and desperately want to go back to the way we believe things were, even for just a little bit. So we tell ourselves, this is fine, this is real, this is what it was like. I am browsing Toys R Us with my kids. It's the same. I'm sure you can tell, I'm kind of jaded on the whole zombie retail thing. On one hand, I get a kick out of seeing merchandise or branding from these places that have gone out of business. I'm happy for the people who enjoy or buy into it. I just wish it was better, or that more love went into it. I love seeing my past contextualized, the things from my childhood becoming museum pieces. I am all for that. I would love if the department stores that acquired the IP of dead retail dedicated space in their stores to accurately replicating what it was like to shop at these places. A few aisles of period-appropriate merchandise and branding that you could walk through, actual carts, signage, an immersive museum celebrating these places, a love letter to retail's past. But these brands are being resurrected half-heartedly to cash in on nostalgia, cheaply, and that's exactly what so much of this is. I'd sooner see these places left in the past in favor of new experiences, making new memories. That's how I feel, at least. Let me know what you think. What stores would you like to see brought back from the dead? Let me know in the comments. I apologize for the sound of my voice, a little nasally. I am very ill right now, but if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and again, if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.